This computer. There we go. So welcome to the May field manager update. I know it seems ridiculously quick from the last one, given the fact that I think we delayed it for a week or so with Easter. We've got a few things to talk about today. So we're going to have a bit around contractor feedback that Sarah will give, a bit around the LFT service, an update on what we've got around GPC PCS, and again a bit of a request for information on that. And then just to highlight some bits from PSNC and some other bits that have happened. To start with, probably best thing I can do is if I can hand across to Sarah and give her the 10-minute contractor feedback on what she's been doing as our engagement officer. So go ahead, Sarah.
So I've been working with the local pharmacies just to build up engagement with myself, just to make sure that they understand my role and what I'm here to do and how I can support them. I have had a couple of issues crop up in relation to minor ailments. So we have had a couple of pharmacies that are accredited to provide the service, but are not able to offer the service due to locum coverage. That's obviously an issue at the moment with the fact that it's very hard to get coverage at the moment, we understand. But if there's anything that can be done to make sure, our pharmacies are able to provide that service, possibly sending some information out to the branches just to make sure, that they are up to date on all their accreditations and providing everything that they need to going forward. In relation to virtual outcomes, I did do a little bit of a sortation in relation to that, and I've figured out that only 37 of our pharmacies across Cheshire and Wirral are actually having any access at all to the virtual outcomes module. It's a very good training platform that I think all pharmacies should be going on and using to be able to find out about what's happening within pharmacy and to educate themselves a little bit further on further information and advice that they can offer to patients. I've been getting really good feedback from the contractors about the support role, thinking it's a very good idea to have myself in place as someone that they can come to and ask for any advice. And at the moment, they're the only issues that I've come up with. I haven't really had anything else. I think because obviously we're only just coming out of lockdown and things are starting to ease a little bit. I think the contractors are starting to feel less pressure and starting to feel like things are getting back to normal. So seem to be a lot happier.
Brilliant. And we're going to ask Sarah to give that sort of update each time, because she spends today's making sure that pharmacies' queries are resolved, that we're telling them about what's coming up, and we're helping them getting over those hurdles. So I think bringing them to this forum is quite a useful thing to try and do, and I hope you agree with that.
If anyone has any questions as well, or anything that they want me to speak to their branches about, please just let me know as well, and I can always ring them and have a quick word.
Brill, you're all on mute and we can't see you, so I don't know if there's any comments around that or anything. I would want to stress around virtual outcomes. This is something we get funded for it through NHS England, so NHSE pay for our virtual outcomes platform, and I think they will only continue to pay if we make best use of it. So I'd really encourage, it's a really good platform to get learning. It's great for GPHC unplanned inspections, because certainly when the inspector asks you, can you show me evidence of your staff training, that will show you what all of your team have done in the last year. So it's a really good evidence piece from that as well. Okay, we'll move on and we'll come to questions at the end if you want. Just updates around the lateral flow test service. We've had really good take up in Cheshire and Wirral and Warrington. So I think we've got all but one of our 284 pharmacies have now signed up for the service, which is wonderful. And I think just what we wanted to know, if there's any particular issues, if there's any problems with stock availability, or if there's any particular pockets where demand is outstripping supply, then let us know and we can flag that up to PSNC and the central team and make sure they're picked up. We have had, as Sarah mentioned, we have had some small issues with GPC PCS, largely revolving around service delivery, particularly around minor ailments. So really the plea today is just to make sure that locums are aware of the service, but equally make sure that other staff in the branch are aware of what services are delivered, because I think the more familiar the rest of the teams are, the easier it is for them to help guide and shepherd a locum through the system and locum through the service and what they're doing. And that's not just the EPCS element, that's the minor ailments, it's the EHC, it's the other things where you don't need particularly difficult accreditations to be able to deliver it. And hopefully things like our locum passport will help skill people up and get people familiar with what they need to do to be able to offer a full suite of services for you. Around the GP CPCS support, so obviously we're currently going through the startup of our CPCS in Cheshire and Mersey. We are looking for surgeries who are keen to go live to enrol. And what we've got is a team that can go into the surgeries to help them through the processes they need to know and give them a bit of assurance and reassurance about what happens once they've sent that referral. At the same time, Sarah will liaise with the local pharmacies to those surgeries and make sure they're aware what's happening, what the time frame looks like, give them a bit of a prompt to make sure they check for referrals a couple of times a day as it goes live, hopefully so that that's then a routine thing once it's live and embedded. And if there is any particular ones of your surgeries who've shown interest in it or are asking you about it, then signpost them through to us via our support inbox, and we'll make sure we fit them into the implementation plan as soon as we can do. We are also working locally with our other LPCs, so we're making sure the approach for that Liverpool are taking, that Halton St Helens and Knowsley are taking, and that Sefton are taking, there's a lot of overlap and dovetailing in there, so that when we do get surgeries on the border, where they'll be referring to pharmacies in both our area and other areas, that we've got the same approach, that we've got the same level of support going in, so that we're not getting surgeries disappointed just because of weird cross-border issues, that we're getting some good consistencies there. The only other thing I wanted to update on today really is around, you will have seen from PSN, or hopefully you will have seen from PSNC News, that the negotiation has started. So that's a tripartite negotiation between PSNC, Department of Health and Social Care, and NHS England and Improvement. What that means as a knock-on is probably for the next couple of months, or however long that negotiation period goes on, we won't get a lot of hints and tips on what's coming next. It's going to be left to localities to guess based on the contractual framework and the timeline that we've already got on what's coming, and we're going to have to take our planning around that. The reason for that is the negotiation is completely confidential. That's part and parcel of the rules that are in place by the department. So there won't be any leaks or hints or anything like that until that negotiation is finalised and they come out of that formal process as well. So there will be some questions that we just won't be able to get answers for on your behalf at the moment, but we will do our best based on the information we know and what's already out in the domain. I think that was about it for me. Is there any other bits that anyone would like to add, or any questions to ask?
I just had a couple of questions. One was about COVID vaccination rollout and if there's any update on that. I know Suzanne was busy working on the different waves last time we met, so where we're up to with that one. And I also had a question around flu, whether there's been any local discussions, and in particular, has anything come down from plots about accreditation requirements for this year, in terms of whether face-to-face training will be needed or whether they're going to take the same approach as last year?
Suzanne, do you want to pick up the COVID one?
A bit of both, actually. COVID one, the next wave of pharmacies will be launching week beginning the 25th of May, I understand. They will all be getting Pfizer. All any new pharmacies coming on board will be getting Pfizer vaccination to deliver. There's quite a few in Cheshire, but there's one independent. The rest of them are all add-ons to multiples, so hopefully they should be quite okay with what they're doing and how they're going to run those clinics. Last season we had a flu group for the CCG, And towards the end of that, around November time, we developed a COVID vaccination group, which was separate. And by and large, the difference is the flu group was more of an operation, was more of a monitoring group to see who was doing what and how rates were going. And the COVID group's been very operational to make sure we've got a capacity in different areas and who's got capacity and what it's going to look like. And that's still what we're doing, because clearly a lot of the PCN sites are pulling away from this. And until we knew last week that a pharmacy could have Pfizer, we had a bit of a gap as to what we were going to do with our 19 to 29-year-olds, but a pharmacy does seem to be able to fill that gap now. So there is a plan to merge locally our flu group and our COVID group, so that from probably early summer, we will just have one group looking at that across the CCG going forwards. That obviously doesn't address the training issues or anything else like that, but that will bring together both the GPs and the pharmacies represented how we're going to roll this out. And in fairness, if the same group of people from a slightly different group of people, some of them the same, if it's run by Tracy Cole, who is the Director of Transformation at CCG, well, Transformation, Strategy and Partnerships, if she leads that group like she has the COVID group, then I have every confidence that pharmacy will be represented well and considered well, because they've definitely done that as far as the COVID thing is concerned, without a shadow of a doubt. So leave that with me. Ask me again in a couple of months' time and I'll let you know where we're up to with that.
Yeah, sounds really positive. Well done.
Well, and in terms of flu and the face-to-face training, I don't think there's been any further extension, is my understanding. I know they were talking about seeing what that decision was, but at the moment, I think there was every 3 years it had to be repeated. It was then waived for a year through COVID last time round. I don't think there's been a further waiver. So I think you need to plan for people who are practicing to be doing the training based on whatever part of that routine and that schedule they're up to.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're doing, but I was aware that some discussions were happening on the table at Public Health England. So obviously we don't want to kind of pay for lots of training events if they're not going to be needed. So we could do with having that information fairly quickly if there is going to be a change of policy.
Yeah, and like I say, because we've entered the negotiation, my expectation, it is only my expectation, is it probably won't change now.
Okay.
I think I would imagine it would go on to do that, but it's a really awkward one, because until that discussion has concluded and come down, then we won't hear. The last that I've heard of from the PSNC LPC operations team meeting is it was under discussion, but it was under discussion in the context that 3 years was already an extension from the original 2, and it was felt to be probably pushing it the long side. So I don't think any of us were expecting for that to be extended again.
Okay.
So I know that still does give you a little bit of risk in terms of cost, but hopefully it gives you a bit of a feel for where that discussion was going and the likely outcome from it.
Yeah, no, that's useful. Thank you.
I've booked mine personally based on that info, so take that as you will. So, okay, any other questions, queries, or comments from any of you? Like Sarah mentioned, we'd be particularly interested if there's particular topics that when we're engaging with pharmacies that we could help either cement things or cement messages that you're giving down, or just be aware of what's being asked from your teams. Then we can help strengthen that, and that's completely within our grasp to give on your behalf if you want us to, given that we will be phoning around all of your pharmacies and eventually visiting all of your pharmacies to do that engagement piece with them.
Sarah, I'm just wondering, with the issue with the minor ailments and the locums, because they're PGD based, I'm just wondering if there's some sort of one-pager or information that we can email or share with locums that we've got booked in, explaining what they'd need to know to deliver the service and what the accreditation might be, just so that they can prepare before they arrive in the pharmacy.
We are actually in the process of getting some tips documents, which are going to be our one-pager like service review, that'll be able to be sent out to all the pharmacies and to locums, which will have all the accreditation requirements and all the details that they need to be able to implement the service. So they're just getting finalised at the moment and should be out with you very soon.
Oh, brill. That'll be useful.
And if you're really struggling at the moment, we do have quite comprehensive locum guides on our website. So if you just search locum guide on there, you'll find them, and that's for each of the areas we operate in, split up by, I think it's by local authority rather than CCG actually, so it goes even smaller than that. But it's really good in terms of all of the documents. The one thing we're just about to update that for is to have 2 pages on CPCS, on both 111 CPCS, 111/online CPCS, and then another page on GP referred CPCS. And again, it's pitched at locum so that they should know anywhere within Warrington, if they're going to work, for example, this is what I need to know to be able to deliver wholly in that area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good.
Well, anything else from anyone? Brilliant. Well, thanks for attending. For any questions you think of later down the line, please just get in touch with us. We'll carry on running these, and we'll carry on doing the contractor feedback from our engagement officer as well as my update. And obviously this will link up onto the YouTube site. So if there's something you think, oh, what did he say around that, or just a recap of it, then you can go back and have a look at it, and we'll send that email out once it's gone through the technical process of uploading. So brilliant. Thanks a lot, everyone. And we will
Thanks.
see you
Bye.
again soon. Ta-da.